So today we're going to be checking out Carolina Herrera Bad Boy Extreme Eau de Parfum. Eau de Parfum Extreme, I guess, officially. So this is, at the time of this video, the 4th fragrance in the Bad Boy lineup. We've got the original, we have Le Parfum, we have Cobalt, which was last year's release, and now this one. And for what it's worth, I really like Le Parfum quite a bit. That was a unique kind of leather cannabis approach on the DNA. Still very sweet and, you know, nothing that is mind-blowing by any means, but I did find it to be a pretty solid release overall, especially for a designer brand trying to accomplish mass appeal and versatility. I thought that one was pretty good. Cobalt, not so bad either. And I gotta say, for this one, I'm pretty excited because we get a full note breakdown with this when you take a look at it online, and the notes within this also look amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and break into this one, see how it smells, what it reminds me of, you know, how similar it is to the original Le Parfum, and ultimately if I think it's gonna be something worth checking out. Okay, so here we have the bottle. You get a nice sharp gradient on this one from kind of this gold color up to black, and pretty standard otherwise. These do have kind of an integrated atomizer, no cap on the 100 mils, although I believe with the 150s, like my Bad Boy Cobalt, they do come with a cap. They don't do this integration for whatever reason on the large bottles. So just depends on what size bottle you get. Atomizers on these have always been pretty solid as well. Let's see what we have, you know. So diving right in, you do get a good amount of this smoky, spicy sweetness, essentially. So immediately it is kind of reminding me a bit of not only the original, but Le Parfum, that kind of peppery, woody, vetiver sweetness going on, maybe even a bit of a leather accord. And then you're getting a different type of sweetness here, not just the bubblegummy sweetness or just the overload of tonka bean, but more of like a resinous kind of smokiness almost a little bit here. And almost like a chocolatey kind of different approach, almost not quite a coffee or anything like that, but this unique chocolatey accord in here that you kind of pick up on. Right away I can tell that this is more interesting to me when I smell this compared to the original or something like Cobalt. There's more going on, and this is the type of thing that you could dive into and pick up on a whole bunch of different nuances that maybe some others wouldn't have. So we'll take a look at the note breakdown here, and we have vetiver, patchouli, clary sage, incense, cacao, olibanum, opopanax, davana, labdanum, tonka bean, plum, bergamot, and ginger. I'm just going off of Fragrantica. They don't have these ranked in terms of a top, mid, and base. Maybe even the official website doesn't have them listed that way either. I'm not really sure. However, I'm definitely seeing some similarities between what I'm smelling and what I'm seeing here. So cacao, that would make sense on that chocolatey type of accord, this dusty kind of powdery sweet chocolatey note that I was picking up on. The vetiver, the incense, the olibanum, opopanax, all of that stuff makes sense in terms of the resins, the smokes, and the sweetness and that sort of thing. And the patchouli also kind of giving you a different variety of a woodiness and a little bit more of a masculine approach, that sort of thing as well. What else do we have? Tonka bean, pretty standard, and you would expect to see that. I didn't really get a whole lot of the bergamot or anything of that nature, which would be a top note for sure. And it pretty much opened up warm and spicy and sweet and a little bit smoky and resinous right off the bat. So as this one is settling down on my skin, it is starting to smooth out a little bit. So, you know, initially you were getting a pretty heavy dose of this kind of spicy pop immediately, but that's kind of starting to subside, and some of the resins, the smokes, and the sweets are kind of starting to fill that void and kind of settle into place here. One thing I do have to hand it to them on this for is that even though we have a bunch of different notes going on, and this is definitely a different approach, and they're using some things that you maybe wouldn't expect, they're still maintaining a very wearable, very mass-pleasing approach on this DNA, because you could take those same fragrance notes there, bundle them up, give it to a niche brand and tell them to make a creation using that, and it would be completely different in the way of being much more polarizing, much more challenging, and everything else in between. So I think they did a really good job of ultimately maintaining balance with this one so far. It's nothing completely crazy. This is nothing that is really going to pose too much of a challenge for anyone. Maybe if you're brand new, this might be something that would throw you off, especially if you're just kind of used to fresher things overall. You start getting into some smokes and some resins and some sweeter notes like this as a brand new fragrance enthusiast or collector, or just someone who's newly interested in this hobby. This could be a little bit different. But I think for a lot of you guys out there who are watching this channel, chances are you probably have a good amount of things. You've smelled a lot of different things, and you're kind of looking for something that poses a little bit of a uniqueness, something that you can dive into and pick apart and pick up on a lot of different nuances. If that's you, this kind of caters to you a little bit. Personally, I can honestly see this one becoming something that I would wear, maybe even more than the Le Parfum, which again, like I said, I really like that one a lot. Now, to be fair, Le Parfum, for the most part, is much heavier on the aromatics. This one still has a lot of them, the clary sage, that sort of thing coming through to kind of give a balanced freshness. But again, it's going very much in the sweeter direction. So where maybe you would wear Le Parfum in spring and fall, maybe Extreme would be more of a fall and winter scent, just generally cooler weather. But I could see myself from a scent standpoint really starting to like this one more, because I do think there is more going on. It's more than what meets the eye. You could look at the notes and maybe you would think that you would pick up on those, maybe you wouldn't. But once you actually start diving into it, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. I wasn't for sure how many of those notes were actually gonna come through, but they really are. And I'm pretty happy about that. And again, if you're someone who is very critical and you just are really looking for that next big thing from a designer brand, this still isn't going to be it. At the end of the day, this is still a bad boy flanker. It's still maintaining the personality of the bad boy idea in terms of their fragrance line, which is just a sweet mass pleaser that has a lot of versatility. And this one still maintains that, even though they're giving us a bunch of different things here. That being said, if you are wanting something that's going to be mass pleasing but with a twist, maybe a little bit different for you, this would be one that you should consider checking out. Now, at the end of the day, is it worth going out and picking up at full retail? I really don't think that's fully necessary. I would imagine, at least lately, things have been popping up at discounters pretty quick. If you could get this one in a few months at discounters, I think, and below retail at discounters, of course, don't pay above retail if it does show up, then I think at that point it would be worth looking into. If you could pick this one up in summertime and then have it ready for fall and winter time, or even wear it in summer evenings, fall evenings, whatever, that would be a pretty solid move for you, especially if you can get it below that retail price point, because I would imagine, I don't even know what I paid for this. I paid a little bit more because it was coming from overseas, but I'm not sure what the US retail is going to be. It's probably going to be a little bit more than the original for sure, just given the fact that as the flankers go up and we start getting into the extremes and the parfums and everything else, the price goes up. It's not going to be cheap by any means. So any sort of price below retail, I think, would make this one a really solid choice if you're after something different. I'm going to go and start to wrap this one up. Very impressed. I got to give it to him. I like this. I could see this being something that a lot of other people would start to catch on to and enjoy as well. It's just a little bit of a different approach on that DNA, but it still maintains a familiar bad boy smell. Like, you could pick this up and smell it and still know that it's bad boy, but with a twist. And at the end of the day, I think that is what a flanker should be. I don't think they should be completely different than the original, because then it just really doesn't make sense as a flanker. I think that's going to do it for me. Off to a pretty solid start so far in 2023 with the new releases. Hopefully we get some things that continue to push the boundaries a little bit, but time will tell. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.